Hey everyone, Josh Meg with NASCAR Minute. We got Chad Johnston. Chad, how are you doing?
Good, how are you, Josh?
I'm doing good. Now, let's start. So, how did you get your start in racing?
I grew up in a small town in Indiana and actually started go-kart racing and dirt racing back home, and went to school for mechanical engineering and then moved down here after I got out of college, just knowing that I wanted to be in racing, and didn't really have the funds to continue on as a driver, so figured this would be the next best thing and moved down here and went to work.
So, was Michael Waltrip Racing the first team you worked with?
No, I actually moved down here and worked for $1 Motorsports, which was a NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series team with Dennis Setzer, and then I worked at Ray Evernham, the Evernham Motorsports with Casey Kane until 2008, and then I came over to Michael Waltrip Racing in 2009.
Right. What was your first job with Michael Waltrip Racing?
I was a race engineer on the 47 with Marcus Ambrose. Was my first job here at Michael Waltrip Racing.
Was that Michael Waltrip Racing or was that the JTG team?
I was employed by Michael Waltrip Racing, but worked for the JTG team.
Alright. So how long did you do that?
I did it for 2009, and then they switched me in 2010 to be the race engineer for Martin Truex on the Napa car in middle of 2010, and then middle of 2011, I became the crew chief for the 56 Napa Toyota, and then to current.
Alright, I want you to tell the people watching, how did you become the crew chief? I think it's an interesting story, but tell us.
I mean, I just worked my way up the ladder, came in as a race engineer, and, as the race engineer controls a lot of what goes on with the car and the simulation and the debriefing of the driver and things like that, and, just eventually rolled over to being the crew chief. So, Pat Trison was here and formed a really good team, which all the guys are still here. So it made it pretty easy for me to roll in and be able to take over and do the things that I needed to do.
So, how did it feel last year when you made the chase for the first time?
Well, it felt good, we knew that we had all the people in place, and we had good equipment, and we had, everything that we needed to do it. We just kind of needed to dot our I's and cross our T's and do the things that we knew that we needed to do and do the simple things right and be consistent. That's always what we thought before. We had moments of where we had speed, but having consistent speed is where we struggled. And last year we just kind of settled in and found things that, Martin liked in the car and that we could repeat every weekend and week out. And, it felt really good to get Napa back into the chase, and MWR had two cars in the chase for the first time ever, and so it felt good for the organization, and felt good for the team.
Well, so do you think you'll win some races this year?
Yeah, that's the goal, is get in there, get that Napa Toyota back to victory lane, and hopefully 2 or 3 times. Once we get it in there once, I think you'll see a lot more to follow. So that's the plan.
All right, thanks, Chad. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Everyone, that's Chad Johnston, crew chief for Martin Truex. Thanks, Chad.